Everyone is emotional, everybody's freaking out, everybody's selling all their stocks, everybody's on Twitter saying, I'm never gonna buy the stock market again. Your friend's texting you, your mom's texting you, your dad's texting you. Everybody is just saying, screw the stock market, we're never gonna do this again. And honestly, I get it. The bottom of every single crash, no one likes to feel like they're losing money. No one wants to realize those losses. But you're going to see the news articles that come out saying the market's going down and it's going to keep going down, and the bottom, who knows where it's going to be. This is going to be the end for America. Interest rates are going to go up. Inflation is going to get out of control. All this negative news article stuff comes out when the bottom of the market is usually very, very close. Right now, we're seeing the complete opposite. The stock market is absolutely ripping higher and valuations are getting a little bit expensive. And right now, everyone is very optimistic about the stock market because we're pretty much at all-time highs. And everyone is saying that this AI and tech revolution that's coming, it's going to massively send the stock market higher because the earnings of these companies are going to go way up. And when the earnings, which are the profits, go way up, the stock prices are going to go way up. Which, of course, yes, that's how it usually works. When earnings go up, the stock's going to follow it too. But if we're already at a very high valuation level right now, what do the future returns look like going forward for the stock market? Well, let's break it down. All right, so let's just call it for what it is. Usually the stock market doesn't crash because business is bad. Usually stock markets crash because valuations get too rich. So you got to understand, good businesses and good investments are not the same thing. If this water bottle right here is a great water bottle, but it's only worth $1, if you overpay for this water bottle and say you're paying $50 for it, you overpaid for a good water bottle. It's not worth it. So you have to understand the price is what you pay and value is what you receive, which is what Warren Buffett says all the time. So you have to get a good company at a good price. So when everyone piles into the same hype cycle, bidding up prices to insane valuation levels, the market's going to become very, very fragile. And all it takes is one spark, one interest rate hike, one earnings miss, one bad inflation reading for the entire thing to unravel, for the entire stock market to go down. And an example of this is when the S&P 500 in early 2022 was trading at a forward PE ratio of roughly 23, and that is high by historical standards. So guess what happened next? Inflation surged, the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates, and boom, the S&P 500 dropped over 25%. Yes, the economy was strong. Yes, these businesses were making a lot of money, but inflation got totally out of control. When inflation got out of control, the Fed had to raise rates, and when it had that negative catalyst such as raising interest rates, the stock market went down because it was priced at a very lofty valuation level. So yes, I get it. I'm a big proponent of tech. I'm a big proponent of AI. I have a ton of money in the stock market. I have millions of dollars invested in the S&P and the NASDAQ, all these individual companies, all these call options, all these sold put options. I am very, very bullish the stock market in the long run. But mark my words, when we get negative catalysts, and we will, and you saw what happened earlier this year with tariffs, when that negative stuff happened, you saw how quick the stock market fell because valuations coming into 2025 were very, very lofty. And you saw the NASDAQ fall 25% in basically like a month or two. It was crazy. And here's the wild part about what actually happened in 2022 and what happened in the beginning of this year. The actual profits and the earnings of these companies, it didn't even fall that much. So it wasn't profits that were collapsing. It was just valuation levels doing a hard reset. All right, so let's rewind the clock a little bit and go back to 1999 to the dot-com mania to see exactly what happened then, to see if we see similarities right now. So back then, you had literally hundreds and hundreds of companies that had no revenue, literally $0 coming in, trading at multi-billion-dollar valuations. Cisco was trading over 100 times earnings. Yahoo was over 350 times earnings. Pets.com, they didn't even have earnings to multiply by, but investors just didn't care. The narrative was way too powerful. The internet was going to completely change the world, and it totally did change the world. I mean, look at the world that we're living in right now, 25 years later. But here's the thing. The dot-com crash saw the NASDAQ falling over 75%. From peak to trough, the NASDAQ, 75%. Are these companies amazing? Yes. Did some of them make money? Yes. Did some of them make money? No. So it's like, yes, this was the future, but just because it's the future, it doesn't mean that the valuation level right now justifies that future. So right now we're looking down the barrel of this tech and AI revolution that's happening right now, and everyone wants to know, is this another 1999 all over again, or is this actually going to be legit, and this is going to take the stock market much, much higher going into the future? Well, let's look a little bit deeper. So as we said before, you don't necessarily need a big, massive recession to cause the stock market to crash. You just need the market valuation level to get totally disconnected from what it should actually be at. Stock prices run up way more than what the actual earnings of the companies go up. That is going to be a bubble that just forms. And when we get any negative catalyst in the stock market, it's just going to go straight down. And if you ever wonder why the typical investor, they fall for the same trap every single cycle. When the market's going up, they get greedy and they want to FOMO in. And when the market's going down, they're all pessimistic and they're all freaking out saying that they want to sell all their stocks. It's the same exact cycle time and time again. And human psychology doesn't change. People get emotional when things go up. People get emotional when things go down. And you just have to know how to realize that and know that that's an inherent flaw of humans. You got to know how to capitalize on that. And one of the worst things, hands down, that people are always going to say when the market's going way up or the market's going way down is they're going to say, this time is different. Those are the most dangerous words that you could ever say in investing. But history doesn't lie. Every single time that we see valuation stretched to extremes, it ends the same way. Take a look at this chart right here. So the red line corresponds to the S&P 500 and the blue lines correspond to the PE ratio levels, the earnings valuation levels. That if the S&P was on that blue line, that would be the PE ratio of the S&P 500. So this goes all the way back to 1985. And if you look at the level that we're at right now, we're close to 22. So 22 is the PE ratio of the S&P 500 right now. Look at how many times going all the way back to 1985, we have seen a PE ratio at this level. We have it right here once. We'll call this number 2 right here, and we'll call this number 3 right here. What happened in a year or two after every single time the market got to a valuation like this? Right here was 1999, the market went straight down. Right here was 2022, the market went straight down. And right now we're at a similar valuation level as that. Now let's flip it to the reverse side just to prove the other side of the story. Look at when the valuation level was towards the bottom line right here, the 10 PE ratio. Look at the bottom of the 2008 financial crisis. The PE ratio of the S&P 500 was close to 10. Look at the massive returns we had from this bottom on the PE ratio right here. Massive returns going forward on the S&P 500. Yes, there was volatility along the way, but look at the massive move that you would have captured if you would have bought when the S&P was cheap right here. And keep in mind, this is when everyone was freaking out saying that this time is different, and it's different in this way because the market's never going to recover. That's what people were saying. They're very emotional. They're selling all their stocks, and this is the exact time that you want to be buying into the market. But up here, when things are a little bit lofty and everyone says this time is different because AI is going to push us way into the future. Yes, AI is amazing. I'm a big proponent of AI, but I'm just saying valuation levels right now are a little bit rich. And if we have any negative catalyst that comes out, anything with inflation that comes out bad, anything with trade deals that come out bad, anything where these companies miss earnings that come out bad, the market is going to correct lower. And I totally get it. We're just here looking at charts, looking backwards on what the stock market did, and 2020 hindsight is always going to make crystal clear sense. But here's the thing right now. Are we doing this exact same mistake again? Are we looking down a barrel of lofty valuation levels, and is right now the time to sell? Or do we double down because AI is going to push us way into the future? Well, let's talk about it. So let's just take a look around. The magnificent 7 stocks like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, Amazon, Tesla, Google, these 7 stocks now make up over 30% of the S&P 500 because the S&P 500 gets weighted by the market cap. So as the market capitalization of these companies go up, they become a bigger part of the index. So as they become a bigger part of the index, they become that much more important because they carry much more weight on the back of their shoulders to carry the index higher. And by looking at this chart, we could get a gauge of the Mag 7 stocks and what their valuation level is right now. So the Mag 7 stocks are going to be the dotted pink line, which is the one higher up here. And we're going to take a look at what the valuation is right now on the Mag 7. So on the bottom, it shows you all the 7 stocks that are calculated in this, and that's the pink dotted line right here. So this started being calculated in 2013, and the Mag 7 stocks were trading at a PE ratio of roughly 12. 12 for the Mag 7 stocks was great, but the growth wasn't that high back then, so investors were not willing to pay so much money for the stocks versus right now. Right now, there's a lot more hype and a lot more growth priced into those stocks, so investors are willing to pay a lot more. But the question is the growth actually going to materialize, and is it already priced into the stock prices right now? So coming from this PE ratio low in 2013, going all the way into COVID in 2020, the PE ratio of the Mag 7 stocks went all the way up to 38. 38 was astronomically high for the valuation levels, and you can see it went all the way up from 38 all the way down to below 22, and guess what happened in the stock market in this time period right here? The NASDAQ went straight down, the stocks corrected, and valuation levels came more into check. So this was much needed because this was a bubble up here. But up here on the top, the typical retail investor and even institutional investors, they were saying this is the future. This is going to change the world. This is going to be everything. And yes, the Mag 7 stocks are amazing. I get it. But the valuation level got too stretched right here. Then the market corrected down, which brought PE ratios down. Market recovered a little bit. And then up here, we saw the NASDAQ drop pretty sharply, very fast. And that's why the PE ratios came way down. And I will say this, remember, we're doing PE ratio, so price divided by earnings. So the earnings on this drop right here stayed the same, but the price went way down. So when this top number right here, which is the price, goes down and you're dividing by the same number, the PE ratio is going to go down. So the PE ratio did go down very sharply from a level of 31 all the way down to 22. And I was talking about this with everyone in my Discord all day long. I'm like, look, the market valuation coming into 2025, it was a little bit expensive. But now that we took this April 8th drop, which is close to the bottom of the market for this year, I was bullish, I was buying calls, I was selling puts, I was buying shares. And I was sending out all those trades in real time in my Discord, and they all made a crap ton of money. But now that the market rebounded so fast and the PE ratios expanded a little bit, now I'm being a little bit more cautious because now we're buying the Mag 7 stocks at a PE ratio of 27 versus 22 down here. So it is a time to be a little bit careful, but I'm not saying that we're in a bubble right now. So here's the catch. Even great companies can become bad investments if you pay too much. Valuation always matters, and anybody that bought Amazon in 1999, they had to wait over 7 years to break even on that initial investment. 7 whole years you saw your portfolio red for until you finally went to break even and go into the green category. So valuation matters a lot. And yes, Amazon is an amazing company. It was an amazing company in 1999 and it was 7 years later, but the key is to get great companies at great prices. And I know exactly what you're thinking right now. This time is different. AI is the future. AI is going to take us into the next leg higher. And yes, maybe it is. But remember, the internet was real too, obviously, but the market still crashed. So just because it's real or it's going to take us into the future, that doesn't mean that it's not going to crash. So let's wrap this up on the critical chart that I'm going to show you right now. This chart means everything because a lot of people in my previous video were saying that, oh, Brandon flip-flopped and now he's a bear. I am not flip-flopping. I am one of the most consistent people that you're ever going to meet, but I'm here to feed you the information and tell you what I'm going to do about it because we're all here to make money. So sometimes the data is going to be good, sometimes the data is going to be bad, but we have to look at both sides of the argument because good investors always want to see the good side and the bad side of everything to know if you're making a logical and informed decision. So this is what I'm doing right now, and this is how to simplify this stuff to understand if you should buy or sell right now. So the lighter line corresponds to the S&P 500 right here, and a dark line corresponds to the earnings per share of the S&P 500. So the number one thing that moves the price of the stock market in the long run or an individual company is what the earnings per share or the profits do. If the profits go down, the stock is probably going to go down. So this is a 10-year chart, and in a perfect world, these two lines would start in the same spot and they would end in the same spot, and the y-axis here and the y-axis here, these are both on a percent basis gain. So percent basis gain here, percent basis gain here. So these lines should move in tandem. So to simplify, when the S&P 500 pumps way above what the earnings per share are on a percent basis, this is the time that the market is a little bit overvalued. Now down here in 2022, the S&P 500 fell way below the actual earnings per share growth. This was a time that the market was undervalued. So if you invested right here, look at your returns you would have caught. But if you had invested right here, yeah, short term would have been bumpy, but if you would have just held and been patient, you still would have made a lot of money. So that's why I say I'm very, very bullish long run. And this takes us right into the category that we're in right now. 2024 coming into 2025, market valuations were very, very expensive because look at the distance we had right here from the S&P 500 to the earnings per share growth. This was very lofty right here. And I was talking about this on all my YouTube videos at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, that the market is a little bit expensive. Then we got the tariff stuff, which is that negative catalyst, and the stock market fell very, very sharply. And when the market was right here, I was telling everybody in Discord, I know a lot of you guys watch my videos that are in my Discord. I was preaching to you guys, the market is at intrinsic value right here. We were buying calls, we were selling puts, we were buying shares. We made good money off that dip right here, and then the market rebounded. But now that the market rebounded quite a bit, I'm now saying that we're now a little bit expensive. So right now, I'm just saying to be very, very careful. Yes, there's some things you could do bullish plays on. Yes, there's some things you could do bearish plays on. When I'm bullish, I like to buy calls and I like to sell puts and buy shares, of course. And when I'm bearish, I like to sell calls and buy puts. So right now, I feel like Tesla stock and Palantir stock are very, very expensive. And those are things that I'm selling calls on right now and generating that consistent cash flow. But things that I feel like are cheap right now are stocks like AMD and Meta, which I'm selling puts on those stocks right now, and TSM2. There's a handful of companies that I love to do this stuff on, rinse and repeat all day long. And if you want to learn my strategy, learn how I scale to millions, learn how hundreds of other people just like you are scaling with my strategy, click the link below to do it. You get my course and my Discord all under one subscription. Completely going to change your life. I'll see you guys there.